Alright, today we're going to be talking about Mastery Quiz number 2 in geometry. It's a study of some of the basic concepts in our geometry class. Question number 1 is asking us to name the angle in 3 different ways. You can see that you have 3 points in the angle with the vertex G. So one way I could name that angle would be to name it angle DGS. Another name for that angle would be those same 3 letters, just in a different order, but making sure the vertex is always in the middle. And since there is only one angle here with one vertex, we can also name that angle with just that vertex, calling it angle G. And you'll see also that there's a number in the interior of that angle. We can also use that number as a name and call it angle 7. So those are 4 different ways that you could name that angle. Question number 2. I gotta scroll down here, I guess, a little bit. Question number 2 is asking us to name this line in 3 different ways. For us to name a line, of course, you need to use 2 points. And you can see we have 4 different points, W, A, L, and T. We can basically choose any 2 points we wish. One example would be W, A. Now if I want that to be a line over the top of that, I should make and use the proper notation. I could use WL, again with the proper notation on top. Those are arrows on the top here. I can use WT as a name as well. All of those are sufficient names for that line. But there are others. I could reverse those letters as well. I could call it AW and LW and TW as well. I'm not going to write all those down, but I can reverse the order of those letters. I can also use AL as a name. I can use AT as a name for that line, and I can also use LT as a name for that line. And again, of course, I can switch those letters in reverse if I want to use more names. But the key is choosing 2 points, 2 letters that are on the line, and making sure I have the proper notation on top. Question number 3. You can see the diagram has a couple of planes on it. You'll see that it's plane Z. The Z up here represents the plane Z, and that's the one rectangle there. We also have a plane W. These are not points. Those are names of each of those planes. To name a plane, I need to use 3 non-collinear points, any 3 non-collinear points. So when I'm looking at number 3 there, and I have to name plane W, I got to choose 3 points in that plane that are not on the same line. So I can use plane Q. Whoops, that's a G. How about that? Plane Q. I can use P. Notice they're on the same line, so my next point in plane W can't be on that same line, so I'm going to choose N. Those would be 3 points that are non-collinear. When you name a plane, be careful and make sure you use the word plane to make sure you use the word plane as you start your naming of that plane. Just the 3 letters isn't going to be good enough. Make sure you use the word plane. I could use other letters as well. That is just one example. Just make sure you choose 3 points that are not on the same line. Question number 4. Identify a point in the diagram to the right. Now I'm talking about a point. Now like I said before, Z and W are not points. To name a point, all you need is a single letter. So one point would simply be point R. There's a point in the diagram. If you'd like, you can always use the word point like we did plane up above, but not necessary. Just the letter is sufficient. Any one of those letters that represent a point would be sufficient. You could use point P, point Y, point N, point Q, point R. Any of those would work. Next 2 questions have to do with this diagram here. You have a bunch of lines that are intersecting. Question number 5 is asking you to name 3 non-collinear points. Make sure you're reading the question carefully. Non-collinear means points that are not on the same line. Well, 2 of them can be, and 1 should not be. So there's a variety of different correct answers. I'm just going to pick out 3 letters that are non-collinear. I might choose the point A, the point G. Those are okay. I can use A and G, but now, since they're on the same line, I have to pick another point that's not on that line, and I could certainly use point F if I'd like. That is one example of an answer there. A, G, F are 3 non-collinear points. You can see with this diagram there are many, many, many different answers that would be correct. 2 points can be on the same line, just making sure that that third point is not. Our last question, number 6, in the diagram above, name the intersection of line BG and line EF. So let's go back to our diagram here, take a quick peek. We got to find line BG. Line BG would be represented by this line right there. Line EH. EH is going to be this line right here. If I can sketch those and draw those out, where do they intersect? Looks like they intersect at point D. That might be the best way to answer this question, is to simply draw those lines out and see where they cross. Point D would be the answer to that intersection point. Good luck on your next mastery quiz.